Hello, thank you for tuning in to Southeast Media Sunrise, dedicated to giving a voice to authors of all genres. I'm your host, Jodi Hockinson. Joining us remotely by phone today is Dr. Michelle R. Hanna, author of The Vows, a workbook for marriage success and understanding yourself. Dr. Michelle's remarkable spirit, determination, motivation, and personal experiences are the building blocks of her respect for human dignity and social change. Born and raised in Southern California, she received her undergraduate degree in psychology, her MBA, and a master's degree in teaching and learning with technology. Recently, she received a doctorate in spiritual counseling. Dr. Michelle has held several leadership positions, such as Assistant Dean of Admissions and Manager of Strategic Partnerships. Currently, she is a master relationship coach, author, public speaker, and entrepreneur. She is the proud mother of a beautiful and talented daughter who is a recent college graduate. Welcome, Dr. Michelle, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, and I'm so excited to be sharing this space with you.
Can you share with our audience what was the reason behind writing the book, The Vows?
Yes, with over 10 years of coaching couples and about 15 years of just coaching singles, my husband was actually the one that said, you need to actually introduce this program, the Vows program, to the world. Maybe you can put it in an ebook. But there was just so much information that, of course, 180 days later, it was a book, So, if you're not a client and perhaps not ready for one-on-one sessions, you have me guiding you through the book, and you feel my support and my energy for you to do your work, because that is so important. I'm there with you emotionally, feeling and healing, because I believe that, you can't heal if you don't feel. So I'm there when you're scared to sit in your truth, because that is so important when you're going through the vows. And I'm just excited because the positive reviews that I've received, it's just been the greatest gift to receive that.
Which people would you say The Vows, this book, is for?
So The Vows is for people that are attempting to figure out if he or she is the one. Maybe you're thinking about getting married, or you're in a relationship, but you need the passion back in the relationship, or you need to reinvent the relationship, because, we all evolve and we all grow, and maybe even if you're thinking about breaking up, or sadly, maybe thinking about a divorce, I would say, stop and just breathe for a moment and get the book. Go through the book, do the exercises, and I promise you, you will have a different perspective of how you view your own personal life and your relationship.
How would you say your book would help someone that is dating to know if he or she is the one?
Well, the questions allow people to unearth all the things that we either don't want to deal with, or we're not aware that those things are there, meaning the questions that are in the book. The questions that are in the vows are not only, they're not shy, I'll just say that, about challenging you to turn over every stone that needs to be turned. You will be reintroduced to self. And if both parties commit to doing that, something happens that's so amazing, which is a reintroduction that begins to take place, and that is introduction to authenticity meets authenticity.
Say a couple has lost their passion in their relationship. What steps would you say could be taken to reinvent that relationship?
Well, the first step is awareness. We need to be aware that the relationship needs to be reinvented. The second step, I would say, is the 4B principle, which is break up. So you're going to break up from the toxic things in your relationship, even if the toxic one is you. You're going to break down, and meaning break down the barriers of communication and surrender to really honestly what you probably most resist. And then you're going to break through, which means I need to face my fears and the pain so that I can break through within my relationship. And the last B is break out. And that is, what is the purpose of our relationship? Why are we together? Why do we exist together as a couple? And the third step I would say is to obviously purchase the vows. And once you purchase the vows, perhaps you figure, you know what, I want to give one-on-one coaching a chance. And I think that's amazing to just take that step so that you can really sit down with someone that is a professional and that's been doing this for a while and kind of guide you through conflict resolution, communication issues, and that just support you to be unapologetically authentic.
Let's talk a little bit about people who are preparing to get married. Are most people aware of what they're committing to when they're preparing for marriage?
Oh my gosh, Jodi, absolutely not. Most people don't remember or haven't had any intimate conversations about the vows. They don't even know how to define the traditional wedding vows. I'll tell you something that's really funny. Most of the couples that come into my office, I always ask, so can you recite the traditional wedding vows? And of course, both of them are like, no, I have no idea what they are. But then they'll start to think, and the man will always say, to death do us part. Literally, it's just so funny that that's the one that they remember. And the woman will start to make up vows that are not even in the traditional wedding vows. So my book and program, The Vows, help you to clearly define the vows and how that helps you to create the relationship that you want. And it's going to challenge you, with the questions and the exercises that are in the book. And it's going to motivate you so that you can connect deeper through intimacy, that you can emotionally heal from the things of the past, and ultimately just live authentically in your relationship.
Okay, so tell me how close I am. I would have just blurted out love, honor, and obey. Are those in there?
So love is to love and to cherish. That is absolutely in the vow. So yes.
You speak about four intimacies in your book. What are they, and why did you choose these four to highlight your book?
Emotional, physical, spiritual, and intellectual intimacy. And I chose these four because I believe when a relationship is operating from a place of being fully present in all four of those, you are in position to connect deeper through intimacy and evolve to the best version of your relationship. So, for example, you have to be vulnerable to one another to experience emotional intimacy. Physical intimacy is not just sex, but it's intimacy every time you make love. It's being open to talk about any and everything to enhance or just to maintain a great physical intimacy. Spiritual intimacy is the connection of spirituality that connects you both, soul to soul. And finally, intellectual intimacy. Well, I'll say this. If you do not speak about your goals and your visions, and you're not experiencing intellectual intimacy. Communication and supporting your visions and dreams is the key to healthy relationship. And there's so many couples that just don't talk about those things. They don't connect, maybe in the beginning when they're dating, but then once they're married, they stop talking about their visions. They stop talking about their goals. And so how do you stop talking about something when you're constantly evolving every day? And that something is at the foundation of you feeling that accomplishment and excitement about something new.
So you mentioned vulnerability and transparency. Would you say that those are more difficult for men or women?
Well, women are natural nurturers, so they need and they crave emotional intimacy. Often women are more comfortable and are celebrated more for showing emotions, for example, crying and showing just emotions than men. I often hear fathers, uncles, and even mothers telling their sons, don't cry. or statements like boys or men don't cry. Therefore, showing emotions or being vulnerable is seen as a sign of weakness rather than a sign of courage, because it takes a whole lot of courage to be vulnerable. It truly takes courage for men, definitely, to be vulnerable. Women tend to be more willing, I think, to be more transparent, because when we are honest, we feel more connected. However, I find that my male clients, that they're scared of being transparent because of fear of rejection or scared that they will be punished for their truth. And more than that, they would rather not tell the truth or fully disclose if they feel that they are going to be subjected to fussing and screaming just because they told their truth.
In your opinion, do you feel that finances or the lack thereof play a big part in relationship conflict?
Oh, absolutely. I have found with my clients that finances play about, I would say, 50% of arguments in the relationship. And usually it's because they haven't had the conversations that are driven by intellectual intimacy as it relates, to financial goals and fears and the roles that each will play in their finances. For example, one is responsible for physically taking care of the bills, and the other may handle all of the maintenance for like insurances or investments. The point is that they haven't had those types of conversations. So I find that they're winging it when they first get married and just leaving it up to really fate in terms of how things will just work out.
Your book speaks about taking the vows to yourself first before taking them to another. Can you explain why this is so important?
Taking the vows to self first is essential before taking the vows to somebody else. And think about it. When you take the vows to self first, you will not struggle as much with the commitment and execution of the vows daily, because they are supposed to be executed daily in your relationship. So, for example, to have and to hold from this day forward, to have to myself, am I having everything about myself? Do I accept whether I need to obviously evolve, but do I accept where I am? And am I still going to show myself love and compassion regardless of me not being in the place that I want to be? To hold, to support. Am I my biggest cheerleader? Or do I look for my spouse or my partner to define my greatness from this day forward? Am I stuck in the past? Because if I am, I then show up in the relationship stuck in my past. Therefore, the relationship is stuck.
How do the exercises in your book help couples that are experiencing challenges or even divorce?
The questions and exercise will guide you down the path of self-reflection, actually deep self-reflection. And once we are being transparent and surrender to vulnerability, to self, we then can provide that for one another in our relationship. If I'm being dishonest with self, then I will be dishonest with my partner. Once couples are having honest conversations and listening from a place of compassion, couples are now ready to work through issues, and they hear one another from a place that's opposite of the anger and pain. Haven't you been in a situation where, because I just believe we've all been there, we've been in a relationship and we are literally just waiting for that person to shut up so that we can state our case, and win the argument. We're not even really fully present or listening. We just want them to be quiet so then we can just say what we want to say. And that's not listening from a place of compassion. When you're listening from a place of compassion, you're absolutely fully present, and you don't want that other individual to be hurt. You want to release them of their pain or their frustrations or what's bothering them. And then after they have finished, you acknowledge what they said. And then you can say what it is that you have to say.
Tell us about the SCEO meeting and what it stands for.
That's one of my favorite exercises. So it's the Sunday CEO meeting, which is really governed like a CEO meeting. So you come to the table with finance issues, challenges through the week that need to be discussed or negotiated, brainstorming that takes place, and options to have a healthier relationship. And most of all, the things that you and your partner have done through the week that make you happy and that make you feel good, because sometimes we can be so quick to say what we don't like that we forget about the things that really make us feel good. And that makes the other person feel so good to know that what they did was acknowledged. And the meeting shouldn't be more than an hour, because if it is, I think people just really start to disconnect and become distracted.
Looks like that's all the time we have. What a fantastic interview. Anyone interested in purchasing this book can log into semediapro.com or visit Amazon. This book is available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. You can also purchase it at Michelle R. Hanna, that's HANNAH.com. And you can visit her Instagram at Michelle_R_Hanna. And again, that's HANNAH for more information. That was Dr. Michelle R. Hanna, author of The Vows, a workbook for marriage success and understanding yourself. Thanks again for joining us today, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for just sharing this space with me today.
My pleasure. And listeners, if you're interested in getting your book published, please visit us at semediapro.com and click on the book publishing link. This is Jodi Hockinson, host of Southeast Media Sunrise, Southeast Media Productions. Like us on Facebook at Southeast Media Productions, or visit our website at semediapro.com.